Hello.
Hello.
Random bunhead today. Hello, those of you joining us on Catch Up. We're the wrong way round.
This isn't going to work.
No.
No, let's change around.
Okay.
This isn't going to work.
Oh, I'll tell you what. Hang on, no, I can't get in
Oh,
now.
that's better.
I can't get in.
That's
I'm going to have to
better.
climb across. Get out. It's like when you, my parents used to do that whole changeover thing, you know, when you've been driving and it was time to change over drivers.
That's better.
And now I'm not in the shot. Look at that.
Well, because you sat here and monopolised the shot, and now we've changed seats. Correct.
Are
Right.
you feeling emotional today, Chris?
I know.
This is apparently the new thing that the kids do. You feeling totes emotion?
No, I'm not.
No.
I'm not feeling
And
it.
you can't
I mean,
can't get it out.
if you watch the Olympics, I love Dina Asher-Smith, but to have the foresight to be able to kind of
Kids think I'm crying.
to do this, and she
I'm
went.
not crying.
I mean,
Oh, darling.
it's kids have got way more. Kids got way more awareness than I could ever have. But I was impressed that she was able mid state where she was at heightened emotions. She had to pull out 200 meters, injured in the 100 meters to be able to say she was heartbroken, but use that as a.
Chris couldn't believe the
just-
speed at which she managed to pull that out, like
Yeah.
it was vocab.
Yeah.
In the same way as we might sort of say, quote unquote.
But
I
that's
suppose.
that's kids
It's
today.
the youth of today,
Yeah.
which we are not. So, hello. We're a bit late today, and mainly because if you've joined us previously, you'll know that we do our best to sort of manage these around various parenting duties. Today it was impossible. He was in Sawbridgeworth at 4. I was in.
If you're not local, that's about half an hour, 40.
Yeah.
Well, about half an hour's drive.
And I was
away.
about 15 minutes away at 4.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't gonna happen. So we're here a little bit later, and we are talking about Olympics.
And we'll do the Olympic roundup first, though. What we've seen.
Yeah. So what's been happening this week?
What
Do you
have
know
we
what? It
seen?
feels like so much has happened since last Wednesday.
But it has.
It has, because we hadn't even had the freestyle BMX, had we, last Wednesday?
No. We are apparently very good in the water and hanging around skateboard and BMX parks.
Swimming, surfing.
Yeah.
Swimming, sailing,
Yeah.
on horses.
Yeah. Yeah.
On horses. Look, can you see? My head's moving. And also, I'm going to have to change the settings if you're still in it, because I have to say children are in it now.
Yeah.
So if I just sit up a little higher, look, my bun head will cover it.
Cool.
But not so good on track and field at the moment. It's not going. So apart from the middle distance females who are storming through. So since last week we've had the BMX freestyle, the amazing triathlon, the mixed sprint triathlon, which was so much fun to watch.
Yeah, it was.
We've had the swimming. We've had some incredible. Actually, do you know what's been really great? The stories of some of the really well fought bronze medals this year. So Simone Biles got a bronze on the beam. Jack Law got a bronze on the 3-meter springboard.
There you go.
And I feel like I'm on it. And what was amazing is the stories behind those. How these are individuals who have come back from some serious adversity when it comes to their sports and been able to put it all together. And what I love about sport is when you see it just all comes together on the day at the right time, because really that's what sport is. So we were inspired today to talk very much about how I think what's great about sport and the stories about sport, particularly highlighted by the Olympics, because a lot of these are amateur sportsmen and women. Am I allowed to say sportsmen and women? Sports persons. And the stories that go into where they have got to, and also the kind of also rans. So those people that have made it to the Olympics and that haven't medalled, that and not even necessarily the people that we see get injuries on their event, but what it takes to get there. It's not just they are naturally talented, they find a coach and they're able to get to the Olympics. It's really not very much about that. And I think there's so much that we can learn from those stories to help us on days when maybe we feel dejected and when maybe the fear kicks in for us. I don't know what you think about that, Chris.
Yeah, I thought we've missed the Olympic roundup. We haven't done the roundup yet, have we?
I did do a bit of a roundup.
Oh no, what about the medals and then the
Okay.
controversies? And
Go on, you move on. We'll park my
come
thoughts. Come back to my
got
thoughts.
all whet the appetite, so we'll come back to that. But
Have I gone straight in?
yeah, you want to tease the audience a little bit, just give them a bit of a précis about the main event, and then so it's been, again, as you said earlier, there's been so many things that have happened over the last 7 days because there's been so many events that we've all been drawn into watching events which you wouldn't normally watch.
Yeah.
Actually,
I've loved when they've had Michael Johnson in the studio.
Yeah.
And Gabby generally asks Michael, what do you think about that, and what have you been watching? And you can't tell from his response whether he genuinely, like he was saying, he really loves the archery.
Yeah.
And I can't tell whether he genuinely does,
Yeah.
or then he was saying about the show jumping, and he did say today, I know nothing about it.
No.
And it's been quite funny actually having him there as the sort of lay person, but not, because obviously he's an amazing sprinter.
No. Well, we had some sort of success and some sad stories. Obviously, Dina Asher-Smith pulling out 100 meters.
Johnson-Thompson today.
We had Adam Jamili again pulled out of the 200 because he got injured in a warm-up before he went onto the track.
Oh man.
And he'd been coming back from injury as well over the past 3 to 4 years, and he felt he had a good chance of getting the medal. Now,
Well, it was quite an open field, wasn't it?
coulda, woulda, shoulda. I don't like that. I could have done this if this had happened that way. I'm not kind of a person who likes that. Didn't happen. That's the way it is. So you got to deal with it. But it was sad to go out like that, and he felt like his hamstring wasn't good enough to get him at least to start to accelerate. So that was a shame. We have seen the women unfortunately got thumped in the hockey.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, but they were the world champions. The Dutch, the Dutch actually, the defending world champions, I think defending Olympic champions, and we got them in Rio, and we weren't expected to win in Rio. We did, remember that, but unfortunately they got their revenge, and in the semis, I'm pretty sure it was. They were determined to beat them.
Yeah, and then the track cycling hasn't been as successful as I think. And I think what's really interesting actually, and something that Michael Johnson was talking about, was how because of the last year and all different countries have had different measures in terms of lockdown, but also what he mentioned was individual athletes have had to handle lockdown in different ways in terms of their training. I mean, I've seen sorry,
We can hear you.
Naomi.
We can hear you, darling.
I've seen I've totally lost my train of thought now. Jasmine Sawyers, the long jumper, and she was literally out in front of her house doing her weight training during lockdown. So obviously that's had a massive impact, not just in terms of people's training and how they've managed that adversity, but also the fact that teams haven't been able to see each other and see how each other is performing in order to measure the degrees of their success, speed. Particularly, I think in the track cycling, it's obviously been quite a leveller. So we've also had Jessica and Jennifer, the lovely gymnastics twins, doing their stuff, and Joe on the parallel bars. He's been amazing, hasn't he? Although I made the comment last night, Chris has quite been enjoying my commentary on the Olympics, which ranges from whether I like the outfits to whether I think moves actually look quite easy or not. So there's one on the parallel bars that looked a bit like a rollover to me, a Pilates rollover. I'm just like, what's all the fuss about? But Chris said he can't do it, and it's not a rollover.
It's not a rollover at all.
So yeah,
It's called a Russian, actually, the move.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the move.
Are you going to demonstrate it?
No.
Okay.
And then that's pretty much, that's the, there was the Warhol.
Oh, the 400 metre hurdles.
Oh, my brain's gone now.
Yeah, we got British girl in the 400 metre women's flats.
That's it,
She was amazing.
Yeah.
She was brilliant. She looked very cool as well. She was like, you wouldn't mess with her. She was like really cool.
So there's a runner from Norway, and he shattered the 46-second barrier for the 400 metre hurdles. And this is, it's the equivalent, I think, of Usain Bolt. In fact, somebody did. They broke down what it would work out at other disciplines for how much he shattered the world
Michael
record by.
Johnson put it in perspective because he said if someone runs sub 47 seconds for that event, they're considered like amazing, like the best of the best.
Yeah.
So for them to go under 46 seconds was just epic.
I think they worked out it was something on the lines of 9 point if you are getting bored by this, then skip forward. For 100 meters, it's the equivalent of running 9.2 or 3 seconds. 200 meters is sub 19 seconds. 400 meters sub 42 seconds. These are massive distances and times above the current world records. And I mean, unfortunately, it's not a popular event, so he did suffer in that sense. But it is a ridiculous title and world record, and it's equivalent of 4 very good club runners doing the relay together, running against him. They're running on the flat. He's running over hurdles, and he still beat them. That's how far ahead he was.
That was pretty
so,
epic.
He
deserved to rip his shirt at the end of that.
That's our Olympic roundup.
Yeah.
All right, so getting back to keys for success. So, yes, we are looking at what makes, I guess, athletes, or allows athletes to be able to reach their potential. And potential is the key here, key theme here. It's not about outcome. I think we get too focused on the outcome, and we get too focused on how to create the outcome that we want. And in reality, we're not in control of that at all, particularly at any level, but particularly at the amateurish level.
But don't you also think one of the things I remember when I interviewed, it's a bit of a name drop here, when I interviewed Max Whitlock a few years ago, he was saying one of the keys to success was actually enjoyment and going out. And I think Beth Tweddle mentioned this, that when you go out and you perform, when you go out and you perform your best routine, you've given everything, you've laid everything out there, that to you as an athlete or a gymnast is your best. So yes, as Chris says, the outcome isn't so important when you feel that you've done everything. And that, I think, was why the Simone Biles bronze was so fantastic, because she'd overcome in the space of a few days, managed to adapt. So she managed to change her dismount from a twisting to a double pike, which didn't involve the twist. So she had that in the tank to give, so she was able to come back and give that. So, and I think, what I love about the Olympics is, those little individual stories of people overcoming adversity. And we're not just talking about an injury, we're talking about, finances. The girl, Belle, so the third girl was it Belle? The third girl who was in the 800 metre final, she didn't get any funding. So she'd been taking a job whilst in order to continue to train for the 800 metres. And she made an 800 metre final. And it's those stories of how people, overcome adversity, what's happened to Max Whitlock and the Kennys as well, having children, and how that's changed their perspective on things, and in many ways kind of taken that pressure off, because it's not all they have in their lives. They have more in their lives other than just the sport.
So we mentioned last week, I think, about the swimmers and about the comment the doctor made on Twitter about why there aren't any black swimmers in the pool, and why there aren't, and then somebody commented, cycling such a white sport. Yeah. And this got right up my goat. I should do a little thing, a little goat running across the screen, getting right on my. Because I checked with my dad about this, and we were in agreement that, first of all, elite sport is not the measure of success of sport in this country or in general. Elite sport is a different sport altogether.
Yeah, it's different league.
I won't bore you with tail ends and distribution curves, but it just is a completely different sport. I'm more concerned for swimming if kids aren't learning to swim at 8, that there aren't brown skin coloured people in the pool. Because eventually there will be. The same way that you've got mainly brown faces on the 100 metre lineup, and there aren't many white faces. Eventually you'll get some white faces, but not as many. So I'm more concerned about how this will influence sport as a whole rather than elite sport. That's the first thing. So if we look at, again, what success is, we shouldn't look at it at an elite level, because the fallout and dropout rate is massive for sport. For every, I'd say, finalist, there will have been maybe thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who have fallen out or been knocked out or not quite made it. So we've got to really recognise that success, even though you get a medal at the end, and that helps those people who've got to the top, that if those people beneath them don't find a level of success, they'll be so upset and so distraught that we focus purely on the gold medal or the bronze or the silver, that they almost can get lost in it all. And we must recognise as well that sport is much bigger than just gold, silver and bronze.
Yeah.
There are so many people who
Made the
get
final.
injured. Well, I mean, we'll get back to the made the final bit because we've changed in the way we look at sport in the UK, which is great. But I think we've got to really kind of see that at school level, at club level, at whatever level you want to play, so long as you feel that you can get something out of your sport at whatever level, to me that is success. And yes, you'll have clusters of people who are good and they'll progress and move on. And I never worry about the ones who are really good because they'll always get picked up and scouted and moved into different clubs and teams, and they'll continue to get better and better. However, we need to then look at what your own level of success is. Can you get success just by doing a park run with your friends, or doing power walks, or having a list of things you're going to do for the week or the month of activities, or are you going to do a certain distance or a certain mileage? All these different factors. And that reward can be like getting, a gold medal, even though people aren't cheering you on in that sense. You can still feel that you have that level of success. Now, getting back to the way we look at British sport, it's changed because remember, not so long ago, we used to be very happy and content, or aiming for fastest loser. That's all we used to hear about. All the commentators and pundits.
You do still hear it a lot in the punditry, especially in back and forth. Someone lines up and they'll say, "Oh, and here comes Sally Smith from Leighton Harriers, and she'll have to run the race of her life to even contend, and she was really surprised to be here, and at that point that poor Sally Smith is she's done well to get there, but well done Sally Smith for making it to that final."
But they'd always say, "Oh, there's 2 fastest loser spots," and you always think, "Yeah, we've got a chance. But now we are contending for medals.
But I think, and I'm just going to segue over to, I think I'm going to just have a little comparison there between this and social media.
Yeah.
Do you know where I'm going with this?
No idea.
No, okay. Because I think we are quite often compare ourselves to those people who are getting the gold, silver and bronze medals.
Correct.
Right? You know where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I do. But it's a lot of things, but carry on.
But actually, Sally Smith, who wanted to make that final, that was her measure of success, and she got there, and she's done really well for herself. And if that was her aim, and that was her happy place, and what made her happy, and her degree of success in her life, then good for her. Understandably, the Olympics is about who is the best in the world, but I think in all walks of life, I probably wouldn't be as inspired by whoever's on that gold medal rostrum as I would by say someone who's really I was far more inspired, for example, by the BMX remind me of her name, from Finchingfield, Beth Shriver, because of what she had to overcome to get there.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a far more inspiring story to me. I found it far more relatable.
Yeah.
And I think, that for me is what I can get out of all of the stories of people at the Olympics. It's the fact that these people, it's not how well they've done. I don't think people talk again about natural talent and getting the right coach. It's not that for me. It's the fact that these people have just dug in and just been dogged in their they want to get there. And I have, I don't mind admitting, I have days I say, I want to give up, such fail, it's not working for me. I always want to run away, like fight or flight. I always have a day where I'm just like, I am off, I'm out here, I'm running, I'm burying my head in the sand, I'm running away. And it takes me a little while, and then I pick myself up and I get back and I think, all right, so, I'm not going for the gold medal at the moment, but you can still, you can crack on, Karen, and get on with it. And I think really that's, for me, that is, we talked what is the key to success, but I suppose what is your measure of success in all of this, not just in terms of sports and your sporting achievements, but what do you want to get out of let's talk about health and fitness. So where do you want to be? What is the measure of your success?
I think we have an overfixation in this country of looking at gold, silver and bronze as the only measure. And you're right about social media, it is exactly the same, the comparison. And we then we look at those things and then judge everything else on those 3. Again, going back to the swimmers in the water, because we aren't seeing whether it's certain people from different parts of the country or the world winning gold, silver, or bronze, we think that's more important than having more kids swimming, or more important than supporting amateur athletes. And this is the thing. I think we celebrate the wrong things. We look at those winners and the elites, and we're thinking, why do we not have more elites? Well, no, we don't need more elites. We need more people.
We need
coming
more people
through.
to pick from.
You
need a bigger pool.
Yeah. So, but we do it in everything. We look at why are there not more female CEOs, black CEOs? Why are there not more rich? I don't know, Northerners, whatever.
It's just I think what's been quite telling actually about this Olympics as well is how many of the gold medals have come from people who have dads who did it, or who have trained with this particular coach who's already done it. And I just feel like what you see from that is that we're selecting from quite a narrow pool.
That's the issue.
If there were more opportunities in mainstream schools, and other forms of training, of coaches coming in and holiday camps and all those sorts of things, we'd have a much bigger pool to pick from.
Yeah, it is. But we look at the top and we think, how do we manufacture a way to get more elites?
Yeah.
But the thing is, having more elites doesn't help sport. It doesn't help sport at all. It's what it is, as Karen said, you have a larger pool of people, and then you skim off the top of that those who want to go to the elite status, because getting to the elite is no fun and games, and the sacrifices, and again, you get a fallout, people get injured, marriages break down. It is not something that anyone wants to do. So
some people do.
Well, they want to do it, but they're in it, and they are just in that cycle. However, it is an arduous task to get to aim for that now and think that's where you're going to be. No, it's not. You get in that pool and see what happens. You can't aim for that, but that's where you may be able to get to. If everything goes your way, if you don't get injured, if you have this parent support structure around you as well, because if you want to become an Olympic swimmer, that's 5 a.m. swims every single 5, sometimes 6 days a week, and someone's got to take you to the pool, bring you back, get your breakfast sorted. So you need all that support around you. So it's really important that even though I love watching the Olympics, and I like the sport and the competitiveness of people who have worked hard to get where they want to. That's great, but that's separate to sport as a whole. And also, as what we're concerned, is about sport in our community, sport and exercise in our community. It's very different.
I think also, picking up from that, a couple of things we can learn. One is from those 3 800-meter runners who are all in the final, and then look at the Jamaican sprinters. What's key to all of that? Well, they're running against each other. So they're always going to be bringing each other up, always going to be bringing each other along. Same with triathlon. That was what was great about the team sprint event, that they're a community. It was quite key that they cheer each other on, and they've got successful people to look up to and to be inspired by and to learn from. Dame Kelly Holmes was on the phone to those 800-meter runners, and that for me was such a choked up, that I was really choked up when Hodgkinson, am I getting it right? I'm not sure. Was saying that she's just broken the British record of her
19-year-old.
Of her hero. Yeah. I mean, that was amazing. But bringing it back, I think what's key to all of this, and really, really what I'm saying here, is that the more you've got a community and a big group of people to bounce off, and the more likely you are to succeed. We can't succeed alone. Those Olympians need trainers, need training coaches, need people that are supporting them, need people that are cheering them on, need people that are a similar level to themselves to ride against or run against. What we've seen in the last year, that wasn't happening so much, particularly with the rowers and the cyclists, that they weren't having those elite competitions and those people to run against. So we all, and particularly, let's talk about health and fitness here, we all need those people who are just that one step ahead, who we can call on, who we can train with, who can support us and who can inspire us. I just think it's just so hard to think, oh, do you know what, I want to get fit today, try and go it alone. It really takes up a serious amount of dedication and a weird mindset to be able to succeed without support and without communities around you.
I had a friend who used to complain about the speeches that winners would have at the end of their, well, not just winners, but anyone who competed, when they're getting interviewed, and they said, I want to thank my mum, my dad, and this. He said, oh, why are you thanking everybody? Why are you thanking so many people? This is someone who has not really had much success in his life in general, therefore that's why he doesn't understand what it takes to have that. But what they're reminding everybody is they really couldn't have got there by themselves. And it's a cliche phrase to say, but there is absolutely no way all those athletes could have got to where they got to by themselves. It is elite sport is a completely different beast altogether. You can get very, very good just taking yourself down to your local park or the club or the track, and you can get to a good level. But then getting beyond that, it's almost like a separate sport altogether.
Yeah.
So for example, 100 meters, you could run maybe it's you against just yourself and running. So you could get to maybe 10 seconds. But to then break it down even further to think, okay, if I'm running 10 seconds, and to even get into the final, I need to run 9.8. That's roughly 2 meters gap to make up. Now 2 meters is enormous. That's the gap between first and third sometimes. So you're thinking, how can I do that? And that's where coaches and technicians and biomechanics come and help, and that's where you can sort of slowly bridge that gap. But what we're saying is, don't look at elite sport and think that's where we need to be. Find success in anything you want to find success in, and also get that support structure around you. Have who is your coach? Who's your counsellor? Who helps you sort of with maybe child management or getting kids to and from certain places? Today we had to pick one child up, one got dropped somewhere else. All these things, having a community around you, get you to your goal. But I think because we are slightly
cheerleader as well. Who's your cheerleader?
I think because we're slightly isolated now as individuals, we just look at our phones and go out, that we think that it's all down to us. And yes, you do have, at the end of the day, it has to be the one who sort of, puts the trainers on and goes out and does the work. But the best of the best of the best have a team.
Yeah.
That's the way you get to where you want to get to, because it's not going to be a straight line to succeed. You'll do this and you'll go up and down, and it's those moments where you come down where you need people to help you to see the road out and come out again, because everybody starts off so well in any of their goals and they're always in that trajectory, and every single person will have that dip. And what creates success is what happens at that dip point. Does that dip,
might need to change sports.
Does that dip turn around and then you take off again? Or for most people, that dip carries on coming down and they're back to square one. So if you are that kind of person, it feels like you're just yo-yoing through fitness routines, or you start a diet and it doesn't get anywhere, or you start a sport, you're back to square one, you start to build a habit, back to square one. You've got to look and see the pattern, what you're not doing and what others who have success are doing. And it is teams behind you. Have that goal, have that coach, have the cheerleaders around you, and then you also can have your own version of Olympic success.
Okay, thank you for joining us. We shall see you next week when the Olympics will be over.
I know.
What are we going to do? Actually,
Well, the Paralympics on, and we're cheering on Rich Cesario from our club. And it'll be his last Olympics. He said he's an old man now. He said he's in his 40s, so he said it'll be the last one. And
good luck everyone for the rest of the. I think it's the kayaking tonight. The Moana event.
What an event! Well, there's some cracking events.
You know the one where they're on.
There are some cracking events which I think should be events by themselves. But the speed climbing, which is speed climbing.
So want to do that.
The kayaking, the transition for the sprint triathlon. All those should be events by themselves because they are superb. But do watch that. It is kayaking, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do watch the kayaking because it is incredible. It's just
Moana.
It's like something you want to see when you go on a holiday and all of a sudden these two men come past trying to race each other in a kayak. It is incredible. So try and watch that one.
See you. Bye.
Take care. Bye.